When it comes to women speaking in church, and when it comes to homosexual acts, there are clear biblical texts that forbid it. When it comes to women not being allowed to speak in the church, one usually mentions, for example, 1 Corinthians 14 verses 33 to 38 and 1 Timothy 2 verses 11 to 15. And when it comes to homosexual acts, one usually mentions, for example, Romans 1 verses 24 to 28 and 1 Corinthians 6 verses 9 to 11. But there is another Bible text that is at least as important when it comes to these two phenomena. And I will mention that text shortly. But first, when it comes to people who defend women preachers and same-sex couples, it can sound something like this. Look at the woman who preaches. Just look at all the good fruits of her preaching and teaching. She is eloquent and delivers so much wisdom. People feel blessed to listen to her. And she is so friendly and kind. Everything is just positive. And look at the same-sex couple, loving each other and spreading goodness around them, living in faithfulness to each other. Everything is just positive. And they continue. How could there be anything wrong with all these positive examples of women preachers and same-sex couples? One must be unloving, discriminating and intolerant, even evil, if one don't want to accept this. Now, let's turn to the important biblical text. It is in Genesis chapter 2 and 3. We read here about a wonderful garden and in the middle of it a beautiful tree. Eve takes a fruit and eats of it, then she goes to Adam with this fruit, and perhaps the scene is something like this. Eve holds out the fruit to Adam and says, "You eat too." Adam looks a little suspiciously at her and at the fruit and asks, "Why?" Eve replies, "I'll give you 5 reasons. 1. Just look at how beautiful this fruit is. It shines so brightly. How could anything so beautiful be wrong to eat? 2. Feel how wonderful the fruit smells. What could be wrong with something that smells so wonderful? 3. Taste and experience how good it is. What could be wrong with something that tastes so good and is so appetizing? And 4. Know how much nutrition it provides. How can anything that is healthy and wholesome be wrong to eat? Healthy! And 5. What's more, this particular fruit gives you wisdom if you eat it. How can anything that makes you wiser be wrong to eat? But, as the saying goes, all that glitters is not gold. For there was only one small thing that Eve was silent about. Namely, that God had said about this delicious fruit, about which only positive things can be said, "Do not eat." But Adam and Eve ate of the wonderful fruit that was so delicious. And at that moment, darkness fell upon them, and upon all future humanity. And the gates of hell were opened. Yes, just because they ate of a tasty and healthy fruit. The Bible text in Genesis is about the very source of all sin, which is to refuse to obey God's word, regardless of anything else. So, sin is not just avoiding things that are clearly evil, such as murder, which you can't say anything good about. Sin is also sometimes things that seems good and positive to us humans. It is when we are tempted by such sins that God tests the human heart the most. That is, when we are faced with something beautiful, sweet-scented, useful, edifying, enjoyable, but which God has nevertheless forbidden. And women who speak in church, as well as same-sex couples, are two examples of such beautiful but forbidden fruits, about which God has clearly warned and said, "Do not eat